Deal. I got a 1978 GS 750. I bought it off the guy that took it all apart and was gonna repaint the frame. However, didn't get to it. So I bought the bike off him for about 900 bucks and been piecing it back together. Unfortunately, he didn't give me the other piece of the hinges. I'm guessing he grinded them off the frame, as there are weld mark or the yeah, it looks like they were welded on here. So what I'm gonna do is just an attempt. I went to Canadian Tire, picked up these really just some trash hinges, but decided, you know what, we're not gonna do that because it's potted metal, piece of crap. Don't want it to break on me while I'm riding, so decided to go my own route, fabricate. So here's the deal. I've got 4 of these nuts drilled out depending on the diameter of your pin holding your seat. So here's my pin. This is gonna be tough to do with one hand. So as you can see, these will all run onto this pin, nice and easy, with just a tiny bit of play, just so that when we get all that together, welded. So main goal, you want to be welding 2 of these on the frame at each point. So here's the idea. You're gonna first weld these together, then weld them to the frame, and they should line up like this. So 2 in there and 2 in there. Might be a little play on the seat, but I know that it's not going to be coming off when it's welded on there. So yeah, I'll get back to you when we're all set up here. I didn't, just in case you were wondering how the heck are you gonna weld these 2 nuts together, so small, how do you get the clamp on there? So I just set up a little grounding system here, just to connect the current. A little easier, well, actually a whole lot easier. So make sure you're cleaning off your contacts. I mean, I'm no welder by any means, so yeah, I just know how to plug it in and pull the trigger. So yeah, just make sure you're being safe with this stuff, wearing the mask and not wearing shorts. But yeah, so yeah, next time these should be welded together. All right. Alrighty, so worked out pretty well. Terrible weld there, like totally missed it, but got a good weld there holding it together, as well as over here. Well, I wouldn't call them good by any means, but you know, it's doing the job that I want it to. Here's a better weld there. So those are held together. That's all I want. I don't need it solid at all, just hold the nuts together. The better weld comes onto the frame, so sorry, they're still hot, but so yeah, once these cool down, we'll weld these bad boys to the frame. But don't just do that without measuring it, right? So you want to make sure that they're in the right spot, because once you get these on there, and if they're not in the right spot, you're going to be grinding them back off. You're going to need to get some new nuts. Not a big deal, but you just want to do it right the first time, right? So yeah, I'll be right back. Just had these bolts welded together. That was it. Unfortunately, these needed to be spaced out a bit more, so I just found some spare steel, and I just cut it up into little pieces and stacked them, and then welded the stacks. And then after I did that, I welded the stacks to the bolt, or the nuts themselves, sorry. And then once you do that, so this would be before they're even welded on, so you got the nuts welded right to the stacks. So you got those free. And then what you'll do, you'll take your seat. Sorry, this is gonna be the worst. Okay. So you got your seat on there, pretend these aren't here. You just got them sitting there. Then you take your first one, you make sure you set it on the bike, you line it up, make sure it's looking nice and straight. And then what you do is you line your first one up, you run your pin through it here. Make sure, oh, hold on. You run your pin through, so this would still be floating around, so it would be in there, but it'd be loose. And then as it's in there, you just do a little tack weld on the bottom, like under there. And then once it's set on there good, you pull the pin back out, you pull the seat off, and then you finish welding it onto the frame. So as you can see, I didn't do a great job here. I actually had the voltage set a little too low. What you want it, I just got this little Lincoln welder here. So just welding the plates together and the nuts, I had it set on B, but because the steel was a little bit stronger and harder to melt, I cranked it up to, so it was on B for the regular steel, and then when I went to the bike, I had to put it on C, just to get a little more voltage. As you can see over here, it melted right to the frame nicely. But yeah, and then you do your second one, same thing, line it up. Make sure you got a bit of play, because once you weld that back in, Of course, it might shift just a couple millimeter, a millimeter, and that's gonna be a little tight, but. And then once you get those welded back on, just go ahead and drill your holes out, just like so, just in either one to make sure you got a little bit of play for the pin. And then yeah, you're set. Then get your seat on there once both are welded. And then, yeah, you run your pins in and they should go together fine. Of course, you can clean it up, grind off the weld bubbles and stuff like that. And then, of course, just spray paint over these. You're gonna spray paint them black. It's gonna look bush if you look closely, but it's whatever. But yeah, so there's just a quick little do-it-yourself if you don't have a seat mount, or if your bike's too old, or you don't want to order them for $1 million. So yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, guys.